What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to briefly talk about my trip to Japan. And the reason I did is because the calendar year, or at least the March calendar year, March 1st lands on Sunday, which was exactly the same day back in 2020 when I left for Japan. So I figured, I don't know if I'm going to have a chance to talk about it again. So for today, March 1st, I'm going to briefly talk about my trip to Japan. I'm just going to talk about the cliff notes. I was going to do a longer video. Like, I was going to release a video like every day, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday. But talk about each day that happened in Japan on that specific day and release a video like that. But I got to thinking that maybe nobody really would like to hear that long story because I went during like COVID. And it was a very surreal thing when I went during COVID. I don't know. It's hard to explain without going into great detail about the trip. So it's like, I don't know if I want to do that. If anybody would like to even hear that whole long story, because it was wild during that entire time. Like, it was like the very beginning of 2020, like at the cusp, right before they shut down, and it was like it was very just odd. That's the only thing I can say. I mean, I will talk briefly about the COVID real quick. That's the whole point of this video. Yeah, I've always wanted to go, and so I decided to go ahead and do it. And then COVID kind of crept up and happening, but there was no signs of it shutting down the country. So luckily, I was able to go, and it was the entire time was very surreal. Like, nobody was making trips to that side of the world because it was like that's where the main focal point of COVID-19. Both of my plane rides, both going there and coming back, were near empty. Like, that was the wildest thing, was knowing, like, I was like, you know, going there was a lot of people I think was just going home, but coming back there was like barely anybody. I just remember thinking like that my entire time there was just like there was this possibility that I might have to return home like at any point in time. That's how crazy it was. I was trying to watch the news, the 3 channels I had in my hotel room, because I remember it was only like a couple that were like English based, and one was like BBC, and they would just repeat the same thing every 15 minutes. But when they were talking about COVID, it was mainly like it was during like also that big toilet paper scare where everyone was just buying toilet paper, and I'm like trying to call back home like, what's going on over there? And then my mom was like, well, nothing really happening here except people are just buying up toilet paper. So it was kind of odd. I really didn't know what to do. Most of the time I was in my hotel, but when I did get out, it was like, that's another thing, was like when I was out and about, I barely saw anybody. Like, most people would say, like, I went to Osaka, and you would see like most people would talk about how there was like a lot of tourists, and when I was there, I barely saw anybody. When I did see anybody who was obviously a foreigner, who was obviously a tourist, when I saw anybody, and I went during the day, they were like so far down the road, or so far down an aisle or an alleyway, that I'm just like, hey, wait a minute, that is somebody else? Because it was just basically everybody who was there, like the normal Japanese people. And so I just remember it was very quiet. It was very much like barely anybody was there. I remember the alleyways. I remember going anywhere. It was spacious, open space. My second to last day before I left, I went to what they call the Osaka Castle, and that's when I saw a lot more tourists there. But it was really interesting because it was just like it was like everyone was enjoying their day, but at any moment it felt like the country could just shut down. Like, at any moment. That's what it felt like at the time. I was really trying to figure out like how am I gonna get home? Because I had a conversation on one of the days I was there. I had a conversation with my mom back at home, thinking like, hey, could you wire me money? Because I might have to be here for a little bit longer. I mean, that's how much like it was like the panic was like, or that's how much I was panicking basically, because there could have been talks. There was lots of talks about it being shut down, and so and that was the thing, like, when I booked the flight, it wasn't meant to be, you know, when I booked the flight, like, in October, and there was no signs of COVID, and now here in March, it was like, oh God, you know, I still have to go, I still paid for it. It was like go time. Yeah, when I was at the castle, it was very like quiet. It was very like, I knew, because everyone said like that was the most busiest is the castle, but then it's just like there was barely anybody there. I would like to talk more about other stuff, like, because it was my flight got delayed. That was an interesting time. Going to my room, I got stopped a couple times. I mean, I don't really know if, like, again, I don't really know if I should go really deep into it, because, like, every day was something, and I don't know if people would really like to hear about the entire trip. I don't know. If you do, maybe hit a like on this video. I don't really know. It was just, all I know was, like, I wanted to talk about the COVID stuff, and it was very, like, that time period was very both chaotic but also peaceful, I should say. When I was going back to the Osaka castle, like, I got lost. I actually did get lost, and I had to make like I knew if I went this one path, I can go back to the front of the castle and get back into a taxi. And when I did that, I ran into like a lot of people just enjoying their day. They were out picnicking, they were like playing games and whatnot, jogging, and it was just like a lot of the Japanese people were there doing all that stuff. But in the back of my head, I knew like at some point in time, they're gonna have to close down Japan. They're just gonna shut down. So it was like, I've never experienced that before. It was just really surreal. I just remember just thinking, like, anytime I went to a store or anytime I went to anywhere, at like a drop of the hat, like there could be people coming in with like, you know, hazmat suits or something. Like that's what I felt like. It may not been like that, but that's what I felt like. In fact, in one of the stores, in one of the I went to a collectible store where they were selling figures and whatnot. I remember going into there, and this guy was like having a coughing fit, and the people in the store, this is so wild. The people in the store got scared and panicked, and we had to walk out. Everyone walked out because the guy was just coughing like crazy, and the way he was coughing was very like worrying. So yeah, it was very calm and peaceful, but yet simultaneously everyone was worried. So that was like such a surreal trip. If anybody wants to hear the whole thing, like day by day, I might do it. I don't know if really anybody really wants to hear that, but it was one of the more interesting trips I ever done. It was my first time even out of the country too. But also, when I was there, not only was I wanted to visit Japan, because I've always wanted to do that, I also wanted to pick up some video games. But there was one particular item I needed to get before I left, and I spent one day, just all day, that's what I did, was find this one particular system. And that here is the lime green PlayStation Vita. And like I've said before in my videos, if you know me, I love the color green. I've always loved the color green. Lime green is like green and lime green are like my favorite colors. So yes, got that there. That one was that was a Thursday I got it, and that was one of the more interesting days. Like, or every day was interesting when I was there. I got that. I got tons of souvenirs when I was there. Mostly Kit Kats. I think that was mostly Kit Kats that I bought. And I bought me at the Kansai airport these two, I guess, specific Pokemon items, such as Pikachu and the male and Pikachu and the female thing. Got those two. And I got Raichu, because Raichu's like my second favorite Pokemon. And I got a lot of like dollar games. I got Tobal #1, you know, Dragon Quest 7, and Biohazard 1, 2, and 3. I got all those when I was there. And I saw that there and I needed to get it. It's because it's also my favorite game. I got the collector's edition, or the two-pack edition of, or the twin pack of Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2. Yeah. Oh, and there's also this really cool Godzilla banner. But yeah, I would like to talk more about it, but again, I don't know. It's a very long story. Every day was like an event. Every day was literally like an adventure. Like every day was, for me, it was an adventure because it was my first time out of the States. But because it was still with COVID, it was just so surreal. This is just something I want to do real quick since I'm coming up on the same time. So that's why I want to make this video real quick. And yeah, it was really surreal to be in Japan during COVID, early COVID, before the shutdown. So, but yeah, that's all I wanted to really talk about real quick. It was an interesting time. But anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you guys all on the next one. Y'all take care.